Welcome to the Rummage Report for May 6, 2026. Today's topic is Zelenskyy condemns Russia after strikes kill 22. Casey Liberty kicks us off today.
Hey guys, did you see the news about Zelenskyy condemning Russia after those recent strikes that killed 22 people? It really puts a spotlight on how this conflict continues to affect not just Ukraine, but also our own interests here in the US. Look, we know that ongoing military support for Ukraine comes with a hefty price tag. With inflation still hitting families hard, every dollar counts. American taxpayers are already stretched thin, and we have to ask ourselves, what's the endgame here? It's not just about supporting Ukraine, it's about how that affects jobs, healthcare, and safety back home. If we keep pouring money into a conflict without a clear strategy, what are we sacrificing domestically? Plus, with the Trump administration's previous approach, there's a lot of concern about whether we're really supporting Ukraine's sovereignty or just prolonging the conflict. We need to think about how this impacts our relationships with allies, too. Sam, I know you're always looking for a diplomatic solution, but can we really afford to keep this going without a clear plan? And Jordan, I get that you care about supporting democracy, but at what cost?
Casey, you raise a crucial point about the cost of military support and the need for a clear strategy. It's not just about the dollars spent. It's about how those resources could be utilized domestically. If we sustain this level of spending without a tangible plan for resolution, we risk neglecting pressing issues like healthcare and education. For instance, the ongoing conflict has already influenced energy prices, which directly affects families at the pump and in their utility bills. If we don't find a balance between supporting Ukraine and addressing domestic needs, people in Ohio and across the country will feel the pinch even more.
Casey, you're right to question the cost of military support, especially when families are struggling. But let's not forget that the stakes are high for democracy and international stability. Zelenskyy's condemnation of Russia isn't just rhetoric. It's about protecting lives and maintaining a democratic ally against authoritarian aggression, which has rippling effects on global security. If we ignore these threats, we risk emboldening not just Russia, but other autocratic regimes, which could lead to more conflicts that ultimately cost us even more in the long run, both in lives and in resources. Plus, supporting Ukraine can help stabilize energy markets, which directly impacts Ohio families at the pump and in their utility bills, as Sam noted.
Jordan, I see your point about the importance of supporting democracy, and you're right that the stakes are high. But let's consider the real-world consequences of this support. For example, as we funnel more resources into Ukraine, we need to ensure that we're not neglecting the needs of American veterans who are struggling with healthcare and job security. They deserve our attention and support just as much as foreign allies do. If we can't balance this, we risk losing sight of our own people while trying to help others abroad.
Jordan, you make a strong case for the importance of supporting democracy and the potential long-term costs of ignoring these threats. However, it's worth considering how this conflict affects not just our foreign policy, but our domestic labor market too. For example, if we continue to prioritize military spending over domestic investments, we could be missing out on creating jobs in renewable energy sectors, which are crucial for states like Ohio. Investing in clean energy could help alleviate some of the pressures families are feeling with rising energy costs, while also providing stable, long-term employment. Balancing our support for Ukraine with robust investments in our own economy could yield benefits on both fronts.
Casey, you raise a critical point about veterans and domestic needs, but let's not overlook the broader implications of inaction. If we don't support Ukraine, it sends a message that aggression pays off, which could embolden adversaries like China, especially in regions like Taiwan. This isn't just about military spending, it's about setting a precedent for global stability. The potential fallout could lead to even more costly conflicts down the line, affecting not just our military budget, but also our economic security and job market here at home. It's about protecting not just our allies, but our own future stability.
The Conversation. Casey Liberty, Sam Balance, and Jordan Progress engaged in a lively discussion about the implications of continued U.S. military support for Ukraine following recent Russian strikes that killed 22 people. They all expressed concern about the domestic costs of such support, particularly regarding inflation and the needs of American veterans. However, they disagreed on the priorities. Casey emphasized the importance of addressing domestic issues like healthcare and job security for veterans, while Sam highlighted the need to balance military spending with investments in renewable energy for economic stability. Jordan, on the other hand, argued that supporting Ukraine is crucial for maintaining global democracy and preventing future conflicts, asserting that neglecting this responsibility could have dire consequences for international stability. Worth thinking about. 1. Should the U.S. prioritize military support for allies, even when it may come at the expense of domestic needs? Or should the focus be on solving local issues first? 2. How do we measure the potential long-term costs of supporting Ukraine against the immediate needs of American citizens, especially in tough economic times? 3. Is it more beneficial to invest in military aid abroad to deter aggression, or to allocate those funds toward domestic programs that could bolster our economy and infrastructure? If you asked me, and remember, I'm a raccoon, I'd say balancing the scales is key, but I can't help but wonder if we should just invest in a giant trash can for all the debates.